Parveen, what challenges did you face in securing adaptation rights for the ABS-CBN film Seven Sundays, and how did you navigate the complexities while going about this project?
Okay, so I should put into AB, that studio that we're talking about is actually a Filipino studio, and we picked up the rights of a film that we absolutely loved, that we thought was going to be a great adaptation for India. We loved it that much that it took us 1 year to negotiate that deal. A lot of back and forth. We're a relatively new company, Creative Nation's relatively new, but same thing for the Philippines. They were coming into the India for the very first time as a studio. So for them, it was very new too. And I think the difference here was that India has multiple languages. So we're not dealing with one English language. It was new for them. They were trying to navigate this whole landscape. There were multiple languages at play. And then they had the original IP, and we wanted to have the underlying rights to make an adaptation here. A lot of back and forth. We actually did have a co-producer in India along the way, which we had to part ways because they did not understand derivative rights, that how would all this copyright play out. And it's actually quite simple. It looks a little complex, but it's not. They have an original story. We want to make an adaptation, which means we will have a very copyright protected product at the end of it. And those rights get very easily sold if you have a good legal team behind you. But it did take us a year. There were some issues on derivative rights, what they meant, what they would look like. We had other issues around the languages and making sure that we had first right of refusal because we only took one language. Now, if you want to take all languages of India, it's going to cost you a lot more money. So you really have to think, what are you looking at as a producer? Going in for multiple languages is going to cost you more money. If you're just looking at, what you want to do with it, then that's fine. But you block off the other languages. That's what we did. It took us a while, but I think it was complicated, and yet it wasn't. We both wanted to make this deal happen, conceded on certain points, but ultimately if anybody was to ever look at our movie that's going to come out in the next couple of years and they like what we've done, our adaptation, which will be an elevated version of the original with songs, with an Indian adaptation, and they like that, they can come to us for remake rights, but they will also go back to the skeleton, to the source. So that there's two people involved here, which is really easy to do because we're both aligned. But that's IP for you. When you're going for an adaptation or licensing something like that, that's what you have to contend with. And we must have loved it because we did. We had 1 whole year of working towards that. We got there in the end.